It's McIntyre in the Morning with Doug McIntyre and Terry Ray Elmer.
I don't know if you've been following this story. I've kind of been following it from a safe distance. The Mongol Nation Motorcycle Club, LLC. The Mongols motorcycles. You've probably seen them out on the road.
Are you a member?
I'm not. I do not have the coordination for two-wheeled vehicles. I'm lucky I don't flop out of a four-wheel vehicle. But I've seen the motorcycles going up Ventura Boulevard and then up, the 101 or up PCH or up on Mulholland on Sundays. And you see the jackets. You say, yeah, look at that. But also seen the jacket, seen the Mongols logo is the federal government who's got them in court right now and is trying to take possession of the Mongols trademark logo. To talk to us about it right now, we have the attorney for the Mongols. It's a pleasure to welcome to the show, Joe Yanny. Joe, how are you?
Oh, pretty good, sir. And yourself?
A-okay. Is it Yanny or Yanny?
Yanny.
Yanny. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. Joe, tell us about what's the basis of the lawsuit? Why are the Mongols in court to begin with?
Well, it's a good question. The government has decided that it wants to destroy the Mongols Motorcycle Club, and that's what this is all about. There was a prior indictment back in 2008 against various members of the club, or men who had been members of the club, and were no longer, in which they prosecuted them for various alleged racketeering activities.
Yeah, and murder and drug dealing, too.
Well, so they said, so the guys, all of them end up taking plea bargains. We all know what plea bargains are like. They're a deal of expediency, oftentimes with very little to do with guilt. Take a look at that poor young man from Long Beach who did 5 years on a rape that never occurred.
Right.
Those things happen. Rather than face 20 years, sometimes people take lesser sentences. So when the government, they had tried to confiscate the trademarks in that prosecution, one of the members sued in a civil rights case saying, look, I'm guilty of nothing. I'm not even charged with anything. Why are you taking my cut? That's what they call their jackets, right? And they go, well, because you're a member of the club. He ended up winning that, and the government was sanctioned over $250,000 in attorney's fees for their actions. So the government, when they lost in that fashion, decided that what they'll do is indict the club itself, it appears, and by virtue of that, we'll take what is a collective membership mark. It's not like most trademarks. It's different. It is a mark that only members of that club who have been voted in and can be voted out are allowed to wear.
This would be something like if somebody sued Yale University or Skull and Bones at Yale University, which is a private organization, or the Friars Club or any private organization, and just said because we don't like you or we don't like your behavior, what we're going to do is bust you by taking your proprietary emblem, your logo. This is a tactic that was invented by Morris Dees and the Southern Poverty Law Center when they went after the Ku Klux Klan many years ago. They went after them economically. And so the feds are turning this on the Mongols, and their goal is, I guess, to bust up the club by taking away their branded logo.
Oh, exactly. The prosecutor in the first case came out and made a public statement to the press that the whole purpose of the indictment and the seizure orders, as they call them, was to destroy this club's identity.
We're talking with Joe Yanny. He is the attorney for your client is David Santillan. Is that his name?
Well, my client is actually the Mongols Nation Motorcycle Club.
Okay. And Lil Dave is the president of the Mongols. Now, tell me, what is the purpose of the Mongols? What is the purpose of the Mongols Motorcycle Club?
It's a fraternal organization. It's comprised primarily, I think if you take a look historically, of ex-military guys who came back with some wounds on their souls and their hearts, and they wanted the camaraderie that they had when they were in the service, hanging with their brothers.
Joe, do you ride with them too?
Oh, I ride. I've been riding for decades.
Are you a Mongol member?
Oh, no.
Okay, so you just ride motorcycle.
There's an interesting story on how I first met.
I assume you don't have like a Honda.
No, I got a Harley.
How did I guess?
Yes. It's a American-made, I'm all in favor of that stuff.
Uh-huh. So where does this go now? I mean, what happens if you lose this case and the Mongols lose the right to their own logo?
I don't think that's going to happen. Even if we can't find a trial judge that understands the law, there's always the Court of Appeals. We're in this for the long haul. And, this case presents some very interesting questions, questions of criminal law, questions of intellectual property.
Is there a precedent? Is the government setting a precedent in this case where they've seized a logo before? Because I don't know that Morris D's ever took the Ku Klux Klan logo, if there even is one. But I mean, has there ever been a company, let's say, for instance, General Motors, which is in a lot of hot water now because they had this product defect that apparently they didn't tell anybody about. Let's say that goes to court. Could the government seize General Motors? They could take the Chevrolet logo?
Could they? Theoretically, yes, but it's a different type of trademark. That is a mark that is associated with goods. This is a different mark. It would be like the Catholic Church or, the Knights of Columbus or what have you.
Yeah, you're saying it has a mark that has no commercial value.
Absolutely none. It is a collective membership mark.
Although it is a mark that when I see it on someone's jacket on the 101, I tend to give them a lot of space in the passing lane.
Oh, that's a courteous thing to do to riders. They're in a very vulnerable position when you're on two wheels.
And I feel like I may be in a vulnerable position too, so I just sort of move out of the way.
Like I said, the first time I ever met a patch holder, I live in Malibu, and I'd gotten a Harley, and I had been riding it for a while, and after about 6 months, it broke down on PCH, and people are driving by. Must have been 100 people drove by. Some of them were my neighbors. But they saw a guy with a motorcycle and a leather jacket, and they didn't even want to look. Finally, 4 patch holders ride up, stop, give me a hand, and when we couldn't get it started, they made a phone call. One of their brothers shows up with a pickup truck. They load it in the truck, and they take it to my home. They didn't ask for anything, and they just said, see you down the road. That was the beginning of a long and fruitful relationship.
Joe, have you ever worn leather into the courtroom?
I typically, actually I have. I ride my motorcycle to court sometimes, and I'll put my leathers on top, my cuts and stuff on top my suit, and when I get to the courthouse, I take them off, fold them up, and then I pick them up on the way out.
Oh, I'm so hoping you just wear the colors right in. You just wear the leathers right into court for this case.
Me too. I actually did one day in protest, in a case many years ago.
Yeah, some of the judges are wearing leather under the robes, trust me.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Some of them have...
I don't want to know how you know, but I agree with you. All right. Hey, listen, Joe, we'll continue to follow the case. Thanks for coming on and explaining it to us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for doing what you're doing, brother. Unless the fourth branch of the government, the press, does what it's supposed to, which is what you're doing, the government doesn't work properly.
All right, appreciate it. Joe Yanny, he's the he's the attorney for the Mongols Nation Motorcycle Club, and you're damn right I'm going to be polite to him. I got enough problems without that problem.
I just think I found my new attorney.
Oh, me too. Me too. I'm not sending him a box of lozenges for Christmas either. I want that guy. I should have asked him to say, you can't handle the truth. I'd like to hear that in his voice. I definitely want that guy. When inevitably they take me out of here in handcuffs, that's the guy that I want defending me.
There you go.
McIntyre in the morning. Weekdays starting at 5 on 790 KABC.